We're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes. We're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no.
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Well, there it is. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the Friday Feast for All. That's what I'm calling the day after Thanksgiving. Hell yes, they're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. Meanwhile, the federal government, the U.S. government, the Washington, D.C. government wants to take all the guns it has and ship them over to the hands of terrorists and complete ding-dongs who are untrained, and then they're going to tell us that that's a better idea than us having them here to protect our own country. I'm surprised that Joe Biden and the Democrats have yet, and mark my words, decided to supply illegal immigrants with guns inside the United States of America, and then say they need to do that so that they can protect themselves from you. Oh, I'm telling you, folks, you are the threat still. Do you doubt me after all this time? Well, I doubt myself quite often, but then again, I go and I check the sources, and I go, oh, yeah. Yeah, well, let's see. If the CIA director, the former CIA director compares Americans like you and me, patriots and veterans, he's decided to compare us to terrorists. Well, of course he would, right? Does that make him unhinged, screwy, nutty as a fruitcake? Well, in my book, yes. But as far as the left wing is concerned, he is an intelligent, philosophical, defense-oriented god of some sort. He's a fucking moron, but that's what he thinks. So why wouldn't the U.S. government now give weapons to illegal aliens? Because they're going to be in trouble, folks. They're going to be the next group that is fearful of genocide, kind of like the left-wing radical butt pluggers. I'm no friend of these people, folks, and I don't want to let up on them. No siree, Bob. There's no sense giving him any breathing room. The LGBTQ crowd is a bunch of mass murdering, straight hating scumbags. Anyone who claims that as part of who they are, LGBTQI, plus yada yada, they are full of hate. There's some gay people out there that are just like, yeah, I'm gay, whatever. They're fine. But the ones that are like, let's try and build a coalition, lesbian, gay, bi, queer, trans, minor attracted persons, and puppy dogs, and fruitcakes, right? They're all fucked up, folks. They really are. But the important thing to note is you are the bad guy. You really are. You're the bad guy. Now, see, we're not allowed to say anything here in this country. There is no conservative media. There is no pro-America media. It's all neutral or anti-American. That's what we have. That's the best we have in this country because, well, they fired Tucker Carlson. And of course, he is immensely popular on the internet. But still, they're trying to silence him. Who else is pro-freedom, pro-liberty, pro-America? Besides yours truly and you truly. Big trouble, folks. So if the best we have in this country is one guy on the internet, no more Rush Limbaugh. Well, in other countries, it's all anti-America all the time. In fact, according to the Middle East Media Research Institute, there's a name full of letters to try and make it sound like it's really important and smart. The MEMRI. Anyways, it monitors, analyzes, and reports on what all of the crazy radical wackos in the Middle East are talking about. See, the Middle East Media Research Institute. It's probably another left-wing research institute, right? It's a think tank. And even if it's right-wing, what's it going to tell us? Well, it's going to tell me and you stuff, and no one else is going to give a shit. Right? It's just the way it is. Anyway, they have discovered out there. A 3-page statement from an Al-Qaeda outlet. And is the Jaish al-Malahim al-Electrani, the electronic army of epic battles. And they're trying to use social media rather successfully, I would say, to incite violence everywhere. Would you say they're successful? I certainly would. In our country, folks, we have the media and Democrats inciting violence against us, people who are free and want to be free. The government is inciting violence against us. Hello, CIA and FBI. You want to have a protest? You're going to probably have a bunch of agents provocateur there from the FBI and God knows how many CIA and CIA contractors. And outside of our country, we have these Middle East connections. They're using social media through their electronic army of idiots to spread hatred of America and destruction. Are you prepared for what comes next? Well, it would appear to me, and oh, folks, by the way, hey, it's Friday Free for All. That means that you get to chime in during the show. Mr. Uman is in the control panel room, safely bunkered in, well armed, of course. But I think we want to get to some of your questions. We're not going to do a full 30-minute John monologue. We're going to do back and forth, shotgun, news, information, thoughts, and opinion. Mr. Uman, do we have something you want to put up that kind of ties in? Let's do it. Everyone else, get your questions on in. And we're going to have some fun. Now, Jane Dixon writes and says, I ordered ammo and found it was almost nowhere to be found, but got a deal last one. We're going to see more of this. Americans realize, and how much does it take, right? How much terror does it take for every American to go out there and buy another box, to buy another case, to buy what they need for the combination of calibers they have? Doesn't take much. It's really easy to do and make sure, and just everything's sold out. When I was at the RMZ, it was hard to get ammo. I couldn't get ammo there anyway, really. It was tough, but it was especially hard. But yeah, every time there's a terror action, every time there's a threat from people like Beto O'Rourke, but we just get more. We get more and more of a chance to defend ourselves into our homes. So Jane, I'm glad you got some. I'm hoping and thinking that you and many others are well armed and well prepared. Really, we have stupid, and it's going to get really bad. There's this guy, and he's been around for well over a decade. I would say probably closer to 20 years in politics, at least that I know of. But I talked about him a long time ago. His name is Geert Wilders, and he is the Netherlands Trump. Just like Argentina has their Trump, which would be basically means anti-establishment, pro-nationalist. Right? Geert Wilders has been screaming for over the last decade. They need to stop all of the immigration into the Netherlands because the people that are coming don't learn the language, don't learn the laws, don't learn the culture, and don't give a shit about any of that. They want to turn it into little Gaza, little Palestine, little Somalia. That's what they want to do. And they've actually thrown Geert Wilders in jail, folks. Not for a crime other than free speech and free thought. Well, he's now been, he is the winner. He has been elected. He is in charge. He's now the boss in the Netherlands. He's their Trump. Very interesting, huh? The global elitist scumbags don't like this. They used to call Geert Wilders, when it was really a mean word, to call him Hitler. Oh, he's a Hitler. Well, you know, we're looking at who the Hitlers are around the world right now. Right? The mainstream media, Associated Press organization, is calling Geert Wilders, his victory, a stunning lurch to the far right for a nation once famed as a beacon of tolerance. Now, do you note the hypocrisy and stupidity in that statement from the Associated Press, aka mainstream media? How could a beacon of tolerance take a political leader and throw them in prison for speaking and sharing his thoughts? He didn't call for the extermination of Jews. No, but you will hear tons of anti-Semitism, tons of anti-Israeli, tons of genocidal discussion coming out of politicians, actors, media, and yes, that's right, even street-bound scumbags, right? These pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian types around the world. They're allowed to say that, and they do. So there's your beacon of tolerance. But the people in the Netherlands, they have had enough of this shit. And that's why it's a lurch to the right. Well, no, they had an election, and the people have said enough of this multicultural crap. Right? Now, this is interesting, right? Mass migration has brought European populations up, right? Sure, but it's wreaked havoc on the standard of living of everyone, as well as the destruction of their cultures. It's funny how the global elitist scumbags don't give a fuck. In fact, that's really what their goal is. That's really what their goal is. Beacon of tolerance. That's really great. Uman says, nation of tolerance. They sure do tolerate a lot of migrant violence and crime against their own citizens. That's correcto. Right? Correct, yes. Now, this is what really scares the powers that be. Geert Wilders' election, right, was accompanied by calls for a referendum that the Netherlands leave the EU. Now, a referendum is putting it up for a vote to the people. Hey, that's democracy. The people get to vote whether they stay in the EU or not. Isn't that fascinating, folks, that now they've had enough. They've got so much. They've seen so much destruction, murder, and rape that they've decided that they want to have a referendum. That is what they don't want, folks. They claim they want democracy, yet when the people want to vote for getting these scumbags out of their country and getting their country out of the European Union, they want to call that extremism. They want to call it de-Islamization. Now, they're kind of mad that Geert Wilders won because he is about de-Islamization. And he says, or has said in the past, that he wants no mosques or Islamic schools in the country. I can't blame him, because what do? They bring in their own culture, their own traditions, and they ignore those of the country they live in. In a lot of ways, they're guests. Right? I don't know. I can't stand these people anymore, folks. I've had enough. I don't want them dead. I just want them to go back to their countries. Is that wrong? Why do they need to be here if their culture is so good? If their way of life, which they've lived for thousands of years, is so good where they came from, why did they leave it? Because they want to take over everything else. All right, let's roll on, if we shall. Mr. Uman, we have some more thoughts out there? Of course we do. There we go. And Bioxo77, he writes, with respect to the car explosion on the Rainbow Bridge. He said, so it wasn't a bombing at all at Rainbow Bridge. Boy, did the media bitch that up, huh? They bitched it up, they botched it up, they butched it. Get your thoughts and comments down below, folks. It is the Friday Feast for All. Now, I don't know that it wasn't a bomb. All I know is they're telling me it wasn't a bomb. They told us that planes flew into the buildings on 9/11 at 500 miles an hour. Planes at that elevation cannot fly 500 miles an hour. But we saw explosions, did we not? Buildings fell, yeah. So we saw an explosive flame, did we not? What's the truth and where does it end? Now, I think it's, I can't remember the guy's name. He was a Secret Service member, Dan Bongino. There we go. I just had to say Secret Service. He says you need to wait 24 to 48 hours before you start thinking and making any conclusions. Oh, you mean I need to give the bad guys in the government and media 24 to 48 hours to make their lie soundproof before I start looking and listening? I don't fucking think so. Now, Fox News was the one who came out and said it was a bomb that went off. Okay, and Fox News, as we know, is untrustworthy. Gotcha. Was the Bentley stolen? Was it being joyridden? Did someone take over the computer controls? Did it get out of hand? Did it pull a Prius or a Tesla move and just rear down the road at 100 miles an hour plus? Was this a terror action? How can you know for sure? How can you know? I will cite Shanksville, Pennsylvania, as evidence for us to understand that their plans don't always go the way they want. Now, Shanksville, Pennsylvania was where a 747, or was it a 737, basically disappeared off of the planet. You know, those planes, those slice through steel buildings with their aluminum bodies, those slice their way into the ground and just disappear like Wile E. Coyote through a cloud. Right? But Shanksville, that wasn't a very good terror attack. What happened there? What's Shanksville all about? I don't like any of this, folks. I really don't. Could this really have been some people who had their car boosted and joyride and they're dead? Or did something else happen and it didn't go off very well? And Fox News ran with the early story, which is this is terrorism. And the other channels held back. Think about it. Fox News also called the 2020 election before anyone else did either. How the fuck could they know? Unless they knew something and they wanted to scoop everyone. I don't trust Fox, especially, folks, because I think they've been the least genuine about who they are. The other communist networks have been very genuine about their communism. All right, so Biaxo continues. The car that went airborne, apparently a local couple was in the car, and he's the owner of hardware stores or something. It was a Bentley, so mechanical failure or murder, suicide by car. I mean, really. They knew all about the car and the people, and that they went to a casino and were supposed to go to a Kiss concert or a Kiss tribute concert, or who the fuck knows. And right, Bentleys, folks, are very expensive, very nice cars. They're not like they don't just explode into flames. And they don't. But here we are. Can a car be hacked? It's computer hacked via signals out there. Well, yeah, sure. Why not? I know cars that if you get too close to the yellow line, or they think they're too close, they'll jerk and pull you back into the lane. Even if you're trying to avoid an obstacle that's bigger than, oh no, a little bit of white paint under your tire. So could something intercept the signal, get a hold of the car, make it race down the road, and then push it as if it were remote controlled? It's not a conspiracy theory. It's what can happen. Oh, you know, the Syrian electronic armies out there. Crazy, crazy, crazy days, folks. All right. Get your questions, your comments in, because now, folks, now we're going to get into what's going on and where these people are coming. I want to talk about our holidays, our culture, our traditions, Thanksgiving. Idiot supporters of terrorism. Protesters who are pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine, decided they were going to block the Macy's Day Parade. The fucking Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Now, let's see. Hamas wants to kill us, wants to kill Jews, wants to destroy Israel. Hezbollah supports Hamas. They're terrorists. The Palestinian people support Hamas, who commit murder. So essentially, they're sanctioning and giving permission to Hamas to kill in their name. They're supporters of it. And then, so over in this country, if you support Hamas, as far as I'm concerned, you're giving aid and comfort to terrorism, and you support them, and therefore you would be a terrorist if you could, if you knew how, if it was an available thing. So all these people can do as they give aid and comfort and support to Hamas is go lay down in the road and block things. Block a parade, our parade, America's parade, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. That's who they are. That's America. But over in Europe, they got a similar issue. Right? There's a gang of scumbags who are out there to kill French people, to kill all white people, they say. This is a gang full of knife-wielding thugs. Right? They murdered a French teen, and they were shouting, "We came to kill white people." Why are these people even allowed to be here? Somewhere in the line, somewhere in the sand, folks, the line has to be drawn. I'm white. I'm American. If there's someone out there who's brown from another country, how can I trust them not to be one of these people that wants to kill white people, that wants to destroy America, that wants to rape white women and European women and free women and Asian women? What are we going to do about these people? This is all they want to do, is kill and rape and steal and then kill some more. So it's not just America that they hate. I wanted to make that clear and use this story to do that. Okay? It's the French, it's the Germans, it's the Dutch, it's the Swedish. They want to kill us all. They want to rape everybody. They want to steal everything. That's what they're all about. And they shout ethnic slurs and call everyone dirty names as they're stabbing them to death. Isn't this a great post-Thanksgiving discussion? Okay, but this is who they are. This is what they believe. Mr. Uman, before I continue, does anyone else have any excellent thoughts, questions, comments? Because great, I'm ready to continue. Get your thoughts down below. Folks, just because we have our holidays, our holy days, our holiest of times, our winter festivals, the rest of the world, their hatred for us will continue. Of course, they want silence and prayer during Ramadan. How dare you attack them during their holy times? These are some of the most hypocritical and stupid humans on the planet. Now, there's another group that is completely stupid and self-destructive also. I call them transgenders. And another transgender has been arrested for threatening to copy the Nashville school mass murdering fruitcake. That's right. More rainbow love for everyone. Have you learned your lesson yet? Do you know who your enemy is? They come from the Middle East. They come from Northern Africa. They come from the Far East. These people hate us. And within our own country, there's people that support them and will kill for them. And then there's other people that are anti-culture, like these transgender fruitcakes, the LGBTQIA plus crowd, in order to make a coalition to try and get to 0.1% of the population. They have to gather every sicko, freako, pedophile together they can and combine them with Satanists. And somehow, folks, Democrats think that's just fine. As long as they're a Democrat, they're good with the voters. So let me ask you this. After seeing a transgender fruitcake kill 3 Christian children and 3 adults in a mass murder that would have gone on much more had the police not arrived and actually put this person down, after that, seeing that while this person killed 6 people, and now the world is waking up to transgender violence, transgender murder, and mayhem, another tranny has threatened to copy that same shooting. Do you think they're done, folks? Or do you think there's more to come? There's more to come. I guarantee it. I guarantee there's more to come. I will sit here on my ass and I will drink my cup of tea and I'll wait for them, folks. We've had a crazy, crazy, crazy world out there. Get this. Over in Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, folks. I believe the guy was of Middle Eastern descent. Decided he was going to go on a stabbing spree. A slashing, stabbing, cutting, murder spree. Adults and children were killed in Ireland. Now, I'll tell you what, if there's any peoples on the planet that like to fight, it's the Irish. The nickname, the Fighting Irish, didn't come from nowhere. And probably one of the world's most popular and well-known fighters, Conor McGregor, mixed martial arts fame, he decided he was going to speak up regarding this Dublin, Ireland stabbing. And he took to Twitter X. And he said, any update on the well-being of those stabbed today? Absolutely horrific scenes all day. My stomach is churning. With no action being taken at all during these even more frequent events, like literally zero action taken whatsoever. How do we expect an end to this? We need reform. Well, no shit. And why does it take Conor McGregor, who himself is a violent punk? He likes to fight, sure. And he has this big man walk and talk. Yeah, I mean, he's a tough guy, and he's proven it. He's done his thing. He's kicked ass. But why does it take him? Well, I'm glad at least we have him, I guess, to say something about this. But he asks a great question. How do we expect an end to this? If the government does nothing, if the government actually continues to do the same things, invite more of them in and promote more of them being, and I hate this word, folks, right? A protected class. We need to protect these people. Why? They're fucking vicious animals. So the Irish have had it. So first we have this stabbing. The Irish have finally fucking had it. Conor McGregor joins in. They've had it. They want an answer. And riots broke out in Dublin. Does it matter whether the people doing this are invaders or gay, wacko, sexual freaks? Because it's all an attack on our freedoms. It's all an attack on our lives, on our culture, on what we believe. Because they are the ones who are different, and they are the ones who take to violence. Right? After screaming for tolerance, they take to violence. Not a very nice holiday season for us. I expect it to get much worse. Much worse. Now, I really enjoy watching what the Irish are doing. I am not encouraging or inciting violence or glamorize it or glorifying it, but I'm enjoying watching because people are starting to think, well, if the government does nothing, who is supposed to? If the government won't stop this, should we? So guess what the Irish did next? Well, there's a Holiday Inn Express, and that's usually where people go to get a good night's sleep. But in Dublin, Ireland, they've been putting hundreds and hundreds of illegal immigrants and keeping them in these holiday inns. So the Irish people, the people of Ireland and Dublin, decided they would go set fire to the Holiday Inn because the man who is identified as an Algerian migrant, right? So now the Irish have a country. Now, if the term Algerian sounds familiar, I'm pretty sure the movie Taken, you know, that movie with Liam Neeson, where he is a man with skills, right? Special talents. He ended up taking on kidnappers who kidnapped his daughter, and he went to Paris to find her. And I believe it was Algerian. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. In the movie, the Algerians played the bad guys who like drugs and kidnapping and making women into sex slaves. Should we be surprised? These people have been known about for a long time. They've even been written into Hollywood scripts. Every last one of these people are living up to the stereotypical behavior of what we're shown. I mean, if Hollywood does one thing accurately, it's show what terrorists do and look like from around the world. They do that pretty good, right? They do a piss poor job of showing us what the rest of the world looks like, but they're really good at demonstrating how stupid these fuckers are and how evil they are. And I don't think I have to apologize for that. There's probably good people in Algeria, but the only ones I'm ever going to hear about are these bad scumbags. And sadly, the Irish government won't do anything. So the people are left. Let me tell you something about the Irish and how they worked here in America in colonial times. William Penn brought over different groups of people for different purposes. He brought the Irish, the Scotch, the English, and German Prussians to do different things. And the reason they brought the Irish over was to settle, shall we call them, boundary disputes. And the Irish are fighters. They've always been fighters. They brought them into America to fight off of Native Americans so that settlements could grow and become prosperous. That's really what happened there, folks. People may not like it. They may think it's ugly. That's history. But that's what the Irish were used for. So now the would-be rulers of the world, rather than bringing people in to try and scare away people who are, well, shall we say, less than civilized, they're now bringing in people who are uncivilized to destroy our civilization. And I know there were a lot of great, very peaceful, civilized American natives. I know that. That's what the Pilgrim Thanksgiving feast that we just went through is all about. The fact that Native Americans saved the white man. But there were also other warlike factions who were being paid by, well, the English and the French and others to attack. So, you know, the world is a fucked up place. But when you know that powerful, rich people are doing things on purpose, causing violence, you know, you start to see who your enemies are. Are my enemies these third world scumbags? Yes. Are my enemies the World Economic Forum? Yes. Are my enemies people like Bill Gates and George Soros, Klaus Schwab? Yes. Most definitely, absolutely, without equivocation. These people are our enemies, folks, and they're bringing in enemies to fight us. I mean, when does it have to happen for you to care? Well, as long as it's in that city over there, I don't care. As long as it's in the other state over there, I don't care. As long as it's in Europe, not in America, I don't care. Well, now it's everywhere, folks. Now, right now, I don't see any of this stuff in my city, in my town, in my county. And I sure hope I don't. But I know they're here, and they're going to keep bringing them in until they starve us with these parasites who are not here producing anything, but only here to take. Only here to take. Good God. I feel bad for the Irish, but you know what? The Irish are here to fight back in their own country. Gotta love the Irish. All right. Mr. Uman. Okay. I'm reading an email that just came through. It wasn't important. Uman, it had to do with a super secret squirrel and a bloodhound. We'll talk about it after the show. Doing stuff with Nikki says, nice buzz cut, John. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate that. You know, every few weeks I go out there and I get my hair cut. I can only take it for so much before it gets bothersome. Anyways, I'm glad you like that. Let's see. Bioxo77 has something to say here. And that is, did you see Kathy Hochul's Cerveza bug quarantine camp bill made it out of appeals court and back the same day she passes her draconian Ministry of Truth surveillance bill? Yes. Governor Kathy Hochul is an absolute totalitarian. Anytime a politician speaks to us and tells us they're going to help us, they're lying. They have to talk nice and use pretty words and have a calm speaking voice so they can fuck us over. Because if they came out and with all their venom and hatred told us how they want to lock us up, quarantine us, take our property from us, our wealth, our family, our children, you know, we would be very angry and very, very quickly. Americans, though, are basically asleep at the fucking wheel. Right? Yeah, Kathy Hochul, right? She is worse than Hitler. You think I'm lying? All of these Democrats are worse than Hitler. Let me explain, if I shall. I made that statement, and it is very hyperbolous, because I want you to think about it. Who did Hitler primarily go after? The Jews. Did he lock up other races or expel them from the country? Yes. But primarily he was concerned with getting all of the Jews, was he not? Kathy Hochul is not satisfied with just the Jews. All of these left-wing politicians, I'll tell you what, even if they're Jewish, they're going to be pro-Palestine deep down inside of themselves. But let's leave that out. Let's just look at who they want to get rid of. They want to get rid of all Republicans. They want to get rid of all libertarians. They want to get rid of all moderates, independents. That is more than 50% of this country's population. Kathy Hochul wants to kill more than 50% of this nation. She's only in charge of New York, but imagine if she was in charge of the entire country. Now, did Hitler kill 50% of his country with concentration camps? No, he didn't. Did he kill anywhere near a majority? No, he didn't. Now, the claim is that the Holocaust resulted in the death of some 6 million Jews across Europe. Today, Europe has over 1 billion people, folks. Right? So 6 million, pretty small, pretty small number. Of course, they didn't have as many people back then. But Kathy Hochul, Prickster, Gretchen Whitmer, AOC, Nancy Pelosi, and every Democrat out there, folks, including Hillary Clinton, they'd like to kill all Republicans. They won't say that. They just want to put you in a quarantine camp. They just want to put you in a re-education camp. They just want to put you in a special camp to protect you from others. That's what this is really about. It's just protecting you, right? She wants to have a ministry of truth, right? In other words, they want government-sanctioned speech, and all other speech is unlawful. Now, the appeals court said, hey, that Cerveza bug quarantine camp is just fine. When Hitler started locking people up, what was he telling the Jews? To get them to go to these camps? For your own protection, the German people are very upset with you. Let's get you over to those trains and get you to those safety camps. Those camps are there for your safety. The world is an uncertain place. It's an unsafe place. There's a lot of hatred and anger out there. So let's get you to those trains and off to a camp. They start out nice and slow. They start out nice and soft. They start out nice and easy. Just a few of you here and a few of you there. And pretty soon it's a steady stream. And then it's a fucking floodgate of everyone you know and love going away, including you. Oh, we need you to go along, John, because all your friends are there with you. Yeah, all of you get to go. So when I tell you Kathy Hochul is worse than Hitler, I mean it. She's a small Hitler. Joe Biden is a Hitler. Gavin Newsom is a pretty fucking big Hitler. And see, not only do they want to murder half of America, put half of America in different camps for different reasons and work them to death as prisoners. Xi Jinping would look at that and go, my God, you people are fucking fantastic. Sick motherfuckers. Imagine that, folks. Half the country just goes away. And then they'll take your children and they'll turn them into house servants that they can molest anytime they want, because that's who the Democrats are. That is exactly who the fuck they are. If you want to see sick, unbridled perversion, folks, you just take a look at the royal families of Europe and all the shit that they've done, and they try covering up and it still comes back, from satanic ritual sites to child murder and sacrifice to molestation to mind control. It's just, it's unbelievable when you add it all up. And here they are. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for the quarantine camp. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for your ministry of truth. I'm sure the government under your tutelage wouldn't dare to do anything illegal, unlawful, or nasty. Actually, folks, that's exactly what governments do. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that for any reason Americans can be hauled off to prisons and held there without trial or crime. And that's exactly what a quarantine camp is. It is a prison where someone's held against their will without a crime or a trial. It takes a scientist, a doctor, a professional, an expert, a scientist to tell everyone else where they have to go. You're out of your fucking minds if you think that I am going to allow that in my area. Because if you start coming for my neighbors, then they will come for me. When are you, America, going to join together, much like the Irish in Dublin, and become an unruly sovereign people who won't be ruled by corrupt government, and take your government back? They'll go door to door, one by one, and drag people off. They'll have people turning each other in. Are we going to fall for that game again? Are they going to use disease and pandemic to scare people? Oh my God, there's a skin disease going around. I wonder who is susceptible to this skin disease that has gone from shit third world countries and now spread into Europe and coming to America. Could it be people with weakened immune systems? Could that weakened immune system be caused by the Jim Jones juice? What do you think? What is more believable? Unbelievable. Thank you, Biak. So great topics. And hey, I'm going to tell you guys what I think and what I hear. It is pretty damn important to start thinking. This came out as news. Almost half of America thinks the United States is sending too much of our money to Ukraine. Why is that news? We knew that day one when they said, we're going to send some billions of dollars to Ukraine. I'm like, why? Why? Here we are, folks. This is the world we're in. Mr. Uman, do we have some more stuff we want to talk about? What do we want to discuss? What is on your mind, man? We were discussing it before the show started. I know. It was a good topic. Was that the one about Dolly Parton showing up as a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader? Yep, folks. Dolly Parton stole the halftime show in Dallas, in a Dallas Cowboys cheerleading outfit. Age 77, Dolly Parton. Wow. That is our country right there, folks. That's our country. Dolly Parton is sold out, by the way. Yes, she has. And I don't know why. I don't know why. There was a bomb threat in New Jersey. Well, it's Black Friday shopping. Americans are out trying to shop. Let's have a bomb threat. Thank you, Jihad. Thank you, Palestine. Thank you, left-wing media. Thank you, left-wing students. And thank you, left-wing professors. And thank you, Democrats all over, for that. I'm glad that you fucked our country up that much. Unbelievable. Absolutely critical. And there's another article that came out discussing how all of these special interest activist groups, whether it's the idiots laying down in the street or the idiots nailing spikes into trees, which I guess don't hurt the trees, but trees have feelings when they get cut down. Spikes into trees, your carbon climate activists, your Save the Whales activists. You know, at some point, you got to ask, where does all this money come from? Well, it comes from groups that want this. They are funneling money around the world into offshore accounts that turns around and gets sent back. It gets laundered. It gets moved. It gets switched and swapped. And then they fund all of these anti-American, anti-Europe, anti-culture groups. One thing the FBI showed us, folks, is that they know who people are. January 6th, they figured out every single person that was at the January 6th protests. And even additional people who didn't go anywhere near the Capitol Hill and arrested them. They were very efficient at it, folks. Yet for some reason, they can't figure out who Antifa is. They can't figure out who BLM is. They can't see that BLM is stealing all this money. They can't see that NGOs, non-government organizations, are funding these wacko climate change groups, these wacko art groups, these wacko oil groups, these wacko car groups, these wacko pro-Palestinian groups. How come they can figure out everything else, but not that? Unbelievable. Oh, by the way, I found this quite fascinating. There are Asian brothels that provided their services to military officials and politicians, and they kept meticulous records. The media says impeccable. I like meticulous as a word better. And there now, folks, the federal government is preparing to identify the men who use these Asian services, right? In other words, they had a nut, they needed to get rid of it, and someone cracked it for them. How is that important in our world? What about Joe Biden and his secret documents? Oh, actually, that's fine. Yeah, this secret document stuff was no big deal. Now, Trump, on the other hand, bad guy. Does it seem like everything the government does to try and convince us that it's the government actually is just self-serving? The feds are going after these military and political Johns. How much you want to bet? How much do you want to bet that these people that are going to be exposed and arrested are all Republicans? Bet your ass. You bet your ass they will. They're all going to be Republicans or worthless, unwanted, unnecessary Democrats who will be sacrificial. Sacrificial. And then this one came up. We're gonna call an end to this show in a minute. Man, if we got some more quips and comments, we'll get into that. Excellent. Hang on to that, if you will. One of the most despicable names from the 2020 Cerveza bug lockdowns, Governor Andrew Cuomo. He left office in shame, which left New York with Governor Hochul instead. Well, he was charged with all manner of all wrongdoing, and he got away scot-free. He resigned and Hochul took over. Well, guess what? Now his former executive assistant has filed a lawsuit claiming he sexually harassed her, retaliated against her when she told him no. But any Republican Johns out there, they probably paid their bill to the hooker and tipped her good too. But, you know, the Democrats want it for free. Doesn't that sound about right? They want to sexually harass someone and get what they want out of them. And if they don't get it, then they attack them. But all these Republican Johns out there, they're evil and bad, and the feds need to come down on them. Isn't that amazing? I thought sexual harassment was supposed to be a crime. I thought discrimination based on religion was supposed to be bad. I thought attacking someone because of their ethnicity was wrong and criminal. But it's okay to go after someone as long as they're a Christian, white. If they're a conservative, then it's just fine. These people are they're asking for war, folks. They're asking for America to look like Dublin, Ireland on a rough night. My question for you is, are you prepared? Mr. Uman, I'm prepared for what you got. Mikey G checks in, all I can say is, while I'm still alive and mobile, this shit ain't flying in my neighborhood either. I'm glad to hear that, Mikey. I'm glad to hear that. I keep running into veterans down here in the South. I keep hearing from them. They've had enough of this shit. They truly have. It's quite interesting. The world we're going to live in and the world we're going to experience here pretty soon. I wish this was America 25 years ago. I could be as old as I am now, but 25 years ago, Christmas was Christmas. Thanksgiving was Thanksgiving. America was red, white, and blue. You didn't fuck with us. It was a different kind of place. But anti-Americanism is spread within our government. We have enemies, folks, domestic enemies everywhere. And the domestic enemies in Washington, D.C., called Democrats and rhinos and deep state bureaucrats, they have let foreign enemies into our country. And like I said at the very beginning of the show, it wouldn't surprise me a bit if the federal government doesn't give guns and ammunition to, you guessed it, illegal immigrants so they can protect themselves from us once we've had too much of them attacking and destroying our country. Folks, you just have to think about it, and you can start to see all the problems make perfect sense. Because chance favors the prepared mind is yours. I will see you Sunday Night Live. It'll be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time. I'll be here, and I hope that you are too. Godspeed, Semper Fi. See you Sunday.